What's going on, guys? National Master James Canty III here, and today we are covering the third world champion, José Raúl Capablanca. Let's get right into it, guys. Let's look at a game or two from him. So we're using a forward chess app, guys. Very simple. You can just click under the link in the video or under the video here, and you can get access to the same app, guys. I use this a lot. So, all right, here we go. We have Aron Nimzowitsch, guys. Come on now. Aron Nimzowitsch, what? This is going to be nice. Versus Capablanca. So this is St. Petersburg 1914 preliminary tournament, and this is a Ruy Lopez, guys, but watch and learn from this. Here we go. Everybody loves the Ruy, or at least know about the Ruy, right? So e4, e5, very classical chess here. Knight f3 and knight to c6, guys. We all know this. We've been here before, seen it all the time, and if you don't know, guys, if you don't know, you should know now. It's the Ruy Lopez, right? So after knight c6 and knight to c3. So he's playing the Steinitz variation here, which is not played as much, guys, but that is an advantage to it. And the advantage is this: people won't know it as much, but it is very playable. Knight to c3, knight f6, bishop b5, and now d6. So the fireproof, it says the fireproof Steinitz defense had for a long time been in the Cuban's repertoire, talking about Capablanca, enabling him to avoid unpleasant surprises in the opening. As for the middle game, Kappa was not concerned, being sure that here he would always be able to neutralize the opponent's initiative. That's very strong to know. Okay, so next move is d4 here. So let's look at this without looking at the next move. What's really going on? d5 could be a thing eventually, maybe pushing d5. But probably just captures in bishop d7, because I've kind of played like Scotch positions like this almost against the Scotch when I used to play e5. So let's see what happens actually. Bishop d7 first, so reversing the move order here actually. And then it says bishop takes c6 with exclam question mark here. All right, castles. What's the other line? So let's say if they castles, e takes d4, knight takes, bishop e7. This is what I've been in a lot, actually, with the black pieces. The problem growing through the ranks is that you're cramped as black here. And if you're cramped, you have to know. I think at the time I kind of knew, but now I do know. And you guys need to know, if you're in a cramped position, you need to trade pieces. You know, you got to trade. So yeah, you got to trade pieces. So, but after bishop e7, let's go back actually. Bishop takes c6 is the move from the game. So bishop takes c6 here. They also have knight f5, which is bad, they say. Oh, this is after castles. So let's go back to the original game here. Bishop takes c6 is what was played on the board. So let's look at this. Do we just take with the bishop and then take with the take here? I think we should do this, right? Because if he takes, maybe we have this. Yeah, that's nice. I like this. I like this for black. I like this. Okay, so after bishop takes c6, let's see what happened. Game move was bishop takes, and it was queen d3 to actually defend this pawn here. And then e takes d4, it says, which is forced. So let's go back. Why is it forced? Yeah, it's forced because, like, what else would you do? Queen e7 looks ridiculous here. Like, why would you play queen e7? Looks kind of weird. Maybe, I guess you could play this, but honestly, I don't think you can maybe get away with this. The bishop has to go to e7, or you can't now. So you have to go to g7. Maybe it's not that bad. Let's look at Stockfish. What does it say? It's just really bad, actually. Bishop g5, but you can't go knight d5. I guess so. I mean, white's just better. They like white, as you see here, guys. They love white, but castles is a move. Bishop g5 is another one. So it's not like you're getting crushed immediately, queen e7, but the queen e7 is not a move you should stay away from, to be honest. After bishop takes c6, bishop takes queen d3, and then e takes d4. Turn the engine off here. E takes d4. Okay. Black can hardly play queen e7. Yeah, that's exactly what they said. They said black can hardly play. Yeah, we just kind of looked at that. Like, knight takes d4, and then we have g6. Oh, wow, g6 instead of bishop e7. But g6 is also stopping knight f5. Okay. They don't like this too much, though. A novel idea brought out on the spur of the moment with the intention of putting white on his own resources and out of the normal forms of this defense, with which Nimzowitsch is very familiar, says Capablanca. So he just tried to take him out the norm, basically, it looks like. Yeah, he just tried to, like, oh, I know what you play. I know what you usually play. What are you doing against this, though? And play g6. He says, in those days, the usual move was to Steinitz bishop to d7. Yeah, and this makes sense, like putting a bishop on d7. But I don't like moving it again. But, you know, the rule of thumb, I tell my students this all the time. If you move a piece twice, I can do it too. So moving from g1 to f3 over to d4, we moved it 3 times. We can afford to move our bishop once again. So technically we can't. But takes, wait, he takes d4. Knight takes g6. This is where we are. Okay. All right, let's see what happened. Capablanca has embarked on a risky venture, which also involves the sacrifice of a pawn, and Nimzowitsch is unable to resist the temptation. Okay, so what's about to happen here? Like, what? This don't even look that scary. Wait, let's read that again. Capablanca has embarked on a risky venture, playing black, which also involves the sacrifice of a pawn, and Nimzowitsch is unable to resist the temptation. Okay, so maybe it's upcoming. So after knight takes c6, b takes c6, because that's just automatic, and then queen to a6. Okay, we're hitting the c6 pawn. Queen d7, right? I mean, that's the only move. Queen d7. Yeah, queen d7 and then queen b7. Oh, taking the a7 pawn? Is that what he's talking about? Can you really get away with taking on a7? There's a question here. And he does. He actually goes for it. So let's see it. Rook c8. Queen takes a7. Bishop to g7. And then castles. Castles, castles. It appears that white is simply a healthy pawn to the good. After all, black has no obvious threats. Huh, that is correct, guys. Look at this. This is insane, right? Not something like super spectacular, super tactical, right? But the fact that, you know, white's just up a pawn. And like, how do you proceed here? You got to be aggressive. So rook e8, maybe stuff's like d5, knight g4. Let me see. I mean, what would you play here? What would you play? Queen a6 is by white. So wait, whose move is it? Castles, castles. Yeah, white played queen a6. Queen a6. So he's trying to get the queen out of there. This is tough, guys. This will help your regular chess here. This will really help your regular chess game. And without looking at the next move, you want to just look at the board here and look at what's the options. Try to come up with a plan here. You know what I mean? So maybe like rook e8. Rook e8 and threaten the pawn, and then maybe play d5. What I've realized is that even sometimes you can be down a pawn. In this case, I mean, let's turn on the engine. Engine's like, look at this, guys. Wow, that is crazy. I mean, that says a lot about this position. It's equal. The engine's like, best play, it's equal. But I'm down a pawn, and I got double pawns here on the c file. That's crazy, right? Let's talk about why. Well, black is a little bit more developed. Now, of course, bishop versus knight, and also this is kind of weak. Black just has active play right now. His pieces are more active. I think that's all it's about. Gary talks about that too. Gary Kasparov. Gary says that a lot, actually. It's the activity will trump or overdo the material. So if your pieces are very active, sometimes material doesn't matter, and that's what's going on here. It looks like down material, down a pawn, and got double pawns here. But I'm more active. I'm way more active. So after queen a6, we have rook to e8. Yeah, so we hidden the pawn. And then queen over to d3. Already the 6th move by the queen. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, he's up a pawn now. Queen to e6, exclam, f3. And we knew f3 was coming, but now the follow-up here. If you're a King's Indian defense player, or anything of that sort, with the Finchetto, the bishop, King's Indian, Accelerated Dragon, all that kind of stuff, Grunfeld's guys. These are very important positions to play, and this knight moving to d7 is always an automatic move, especially when you see this kind of pawn structure here for white. Knight to c5 is coming. You're going to play mostly on the queen side. This bishop is now a monster on the long diagonal here. And we have a lot of play, but you do have to be accurate and active. Anytime we play passive in these kind of positions, it doesn't work out well for black at all. Now it says, after knight d7, after the rapid advance of knight e5 to c4, white's queen side will be on the point of collapse. Now it is clear that black has gained excellent compensation for the pawn. That's awesome. So his plan is knight e5 to hit the queen. So let's just make a random move, right? Knight e5 and then like knight c4. And there's an immense pressure on this side of the board. Rook to b8 is coming. You can't push, or at least you can if you want to. Absolutely, but this is terrible here. Absolutely terrible, right? But yeah, so okay. So after queen e6, let's go back. f3, knight d7, threatening knight e5. Best move, or the move played, was bishop d2, guys. And they put a question mark here. Like, yo, that's garbage. That's not a move. Like, how is that a move? Bishop d2. And it looks fine, right? All right, let's see what's the refutation here. Bishop d2. Okay, well, actually, I can see it now. I was trying to, like, not see it, but there it is. 95. Just following up with the plan. Nimzowitsch does not sense the amount of danger. Bishop f4 was correct, though. To eliminate the knight after 95, bishop takes rook a to b. With such a bishop, black will now definitely never lose. Yo, hey guys, that's something to keep note of, okay? That's something to keep note of right there. You got a dark square bishop like this against a knight, down a pawn, and double pawns. Not all the time, but in situations like this, with such a bishop, black will definitely never lose. That's what it says. But we are trying to solve another problem. How not to lose with white. Ooh, that's fire. That's fire. Bishop d2, 95. Rook, queen e2, back that boy at runtime, and knight to c4 hitting b2. All right, oof, yeah, that bishop's hit, but what, man, bishop c1, it's like rook b1, it's like the same position, actually. After giving up a pawn just like that, Kappa plays as though nothing has happened, strengthening his position as much as possible. His simple maneuvers, queen d7 to e6, knight d7, knight e5, knight c4, followed by the deployment of the rooks on the a and b files, in my view, staggering for the level of chess at that time. Wow, what a plan. I mean, ideally place his pieces on the absolute best squares, guys. Once you have a plan, now you have to find what is the absolute best squares that coincide or work together with that plan. Now after knight to c4, rook a to b1, rook a8, and he's going for it, and then a4, another question mark, guys. Wow, a4 doesn't even look that bad. Let's see why. Knight takes d4, he snaps, gets rid of that bishop, we snap back, and then queen to c4. Beautiful, just hitting everything. The knight is not hanging, but of course there's pressure on the c3 knight, and a4 is going to fall after c3 does. And this sets of double pawns, but again, it's the activity. And because black was first at being active, he has first at like all the shots. Rook e to b8 and just putting pressure on the files, like, you know. And then the e and d files are kind of closed actually because the pawns. So rook f to d1. Then we have rook e to b8. Yeah, that's exactly what he played. With the threat of rook takes b2. Ouch. Oh my goodness. Let's just put that on the screen here. Bam. Hit that man with a move. Oh my goodness. Rook takes b2. Start a new one. Not a move. Rook takes b2. Snap and hit the man. Bishop takes c3. I think it's bishop takes, right? Yeah, bishop takes is best. And then, yeah, we're just getting some material here. A little bit. Queen c1's gross. Queen c1, I wonder if queen e2. Let's just see. Like, queen c1, you just have to take it. Okay. So we can't do nothing crazy. We just got to take the rook. Well, all right. Okay, we got to take the rook. So let's go back to the position here. Queen to c4, rook f to d1, rook e to b, and then there's queen e3. Queen e3, man, bro, he was not feeling good here. I mean, this was like back question mark, question mark, question mark. Every time you move, it's a question mark, Nimzowitsch. They just hit him with like a4 question mark, right? Queen e3 question mark. Then we saw another question mark. And this doesn't even look that bad, to be honest, guys. It's just, looks are very deceiving in chess. That's number one. And the second thing is like the activity of the pieces here with this monster of a bishop. I mean, what kind of, that's beautiful compensation, to say the least. Queen e3. It says the Cuban's play has paralyzed Nimzowicz's will. Only queen d3 was the best way to play, followed by check, king h1, rook b4. Knight e2 would have retained any chances of saving the game. So giving the pawn back, the a pawn back, it was the only way to save this game. Even the b2 pawn's hanging, but I probably wouldn't take that one. It just kind of feels awkward to take that one. Queen e3 and then rook to b4. Wow, I actually I was not thinking of rook b4. I didn't at all think about rook to b4, to be honest. They put an exclam on that too. I guess this is for doubling, and man, putting some real pressure on the file. Man, Kappa was gross, super strong. Big boy here. Rook b4, that's a big boy move. Because you can just get your pawn back immediately, right? You could just like take on c3, take on a4. Yeah, you could just get some material back, but no, he went for rook b4. I like that. When you find a good move, look for a better one. That was from Lasker, which we have in this playlist, guys, in this playlist of Lasker and everyone else. This is the third world champion, Capablanca. Queen g5. It says queen d3 is too late. I just want to see why. Bishop d4. Oh, wait. What happened? Well, queen d3 is too late because of check and rook a to b. Yeah, so same thing. We want to do that anyway. Check, king h1. Yeah, we wanted to do this anyway. This was the plan, to double the rooks. The triumph of black's innovatory strategy The destruction of white's queenside is inevitable. The threat of bishop takes c3 forces white to give up the exchange. However, this terrible bishop is worth a rook. Wow, and he snapped it. Bam, rook takes d4. You're not about to take nothing. And of course, at this point, guys, if you look at this without looking at anything else on the board, we're going to win this game. Or at least you're going to fight, but especially if he plays b3. If white can get b3 in, that could be a little bit difficult in some of these positions. It's going to take some technical and very technical, very like sharp, you know, and precision, accuracy, right? You need all of that to win this game if he gets b3 in eventually. So let's see what happened. Queen to c4, and we have h4. Rook takes b2. He's not even carrying. h4 is he's going for it. He's like, well, if you about to mess me up over here, I'm gonna try to get queen f6 in and go for mate. So queen to d2, backs it up, defends the knight, and then we have queen to c5. Interesting move, cutting off, I guess, stopping the pawn from doing anything on h5, even also swinging over here myself. The conversion of the advantage does not present any difficulty for such a technician as Capablanca. Rook to e1, and then queen h5. Yep, I was thinking that. Queen h5, you just want to hit this pawn. Now g3 creates a, oh, you can't even play that. G3 runs into queen takes, so that's no good. So after queen h5, rook e1, queen h5, rook a1. Really? Avoiding the transparent queen f2. Hold up, let's see that. Okay. If he would have played queen f2, you just take on c2. Whoo, hitting that man everywhere. If queen takes, just to show you guys, takes, check, hit him. And then what's the follow-up? How do we finish this? We want to get the rook involved, but like how? How do we get the rook involved? I don't know. Rook e8 then? What does the engine play here? Queen h4 again, and then rook b4. Yeah, so you see it's not that easy, right? They're playing queen h4 and rook b4 again. Yeah, my reason for rook e8 is I was just trying to rook lift this way. But it's not that easy, right? You know, not your obvious move. Rook b4 and queen check. I mean, if you go queen check, he can go back, and like I don't have the file. That's the reason for me. I'm trying to get my rook active, right? So it's not that easy. Not that easy. But after rook a1, queen takes h4, king g1, queen h5. Queen h5. Oh, I guess he's going back to check, because this is a pass pawn. We got to worry about this, right? a5, rook a8. So he's threatening it now. a6. Yeah, that pawn's going to be lost. You cannot. You can't live to see another day here. Check, king h1, queen c4. That pawn is no way queening. Queen c4 and a7, and then queen back to c5. I would do exactly the same thing. If you notice, guys, how he kept the threats up, he just kept threatening things. And that is, when you get an advantage, try to keep the threats up. And the more that you do, I mean, the better your game is going to be. So after queen c5, we have e5. Yeah, this is not desperado, but close. e5 is like desperado, basically. Queen takes, rook a4, queen h5, king g1, and back to check. Yeah, no, I mean, we didn't give it nothing out of that, really. Besides giving up the pawn, we did get the e4 square, but realistically speaking, especially with the rook back here, mate threats around the king, it's just not enough. King h2 and d5. Whoa, let's go back. d5. Man, I would have I probably honestly would have taken on a7, because, yeah, this pawn's annoying. Play d5. That's such a strong move. Just saying, hey, let's look at it, right? d5, this move means that the pawn or the knight can't go here. That's number one. Number two, the pawn's still hanging. Number three, we opened up a check here. Maybe we could use this, right? Destroying white's last hope. Oh, this was bad. It said rook takes a7 is a question mark because of knight e4. Why can't I just check him, though? Am I in trouble? What am I missing that I can't check him and take the rook? Oh, knight f6. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. Hit that man. Look at this. Okay, look. Check. This is what I was... And then rook takes, but then he hits you. Oh, my goodness. Front door left open. Start a new game. It's not over, but like you just... This hurts. That hurts. That hurts. I'm sure you've probably been there before in your life where you got hit with a move like this. Man, that hurts, bro. So he played d5, and he just said, you know what? Forget all of the knight play and have a nice day. Just play d5 and got rid of the square. Very, very smart. And prophylaxis in a way, too. Very good prophylaxis. Rook to h4. Going for queen h6, I assume. And it says he just took it and then knight d1. But after takes, okay, so let's look at realistically as a human. If queen h6 happens, well, we can run away. We're not that scared. Oh, we could just take the knight, though. Yeah, take the knight. Queen takes c3, and he can resign at this point. There are no checks. I mean, you do have a check, so let's put this, but we just bring it back and like nothing happened there. Down a whole piece. So after rook takes a7, the move was knight to d1, and then it was just 1-0 after that. It was just 1-0, and then it says, without waiting for his opponent's reply, White resigned. He didn't even see, he didn't care, he just resigned. So, because it's rook takes c2, right? Probably just that. One of Capablanca's classic games, the sacrifice of the a-pawn in similar positions followed by the attack on the opponent's pawns along the A and B files have been adopted by many masters. That was said by Botvinnik. Now, think about this, guys. What opening does that sound like? The Banco or like Benoni type structures, when you're playing at b5 and you're just giving it up. Then you play a6 and then you down a pawn, but you play very active on the queen side with the dark square bishop hitting down the diagonal here on g7 or the h8 to a1 diagonal. The bishop's very strong there. You put the rooks on b8 and a8. The knight goes to d7 and the knight on f6 swings around like from g4 to e5. Lots of play, but you're aiming at the queen side of the board due to it. Then let's read this last part. Before the start, the Cuban quite reasonably named Rubinstein as his main favorite, saying that he is excellent health and has prepared for this tournament for a long time, whereas the world champion Lasker is uncertain because he is a little out of practice. And about himself, my health just now is not very good, and I'll be satisfied if I finish second, says Capablanca. In the third round, two contenders for the crown met in nerve-wracking confrontation, the outcome of which had enormous influence of their subsequent fates. I think this is the next game here, guys, so we're going to leave that for another day. We're already at 20 minutes here, guys. I wanted to show you guys this quick game. Ruy Lopez, something that you can take from this game, guys, is sacrificing for initiative, sacrificing and believing in the position and optimally placing your pieces. Like, let's go back to this critical position. I think here was like everything was placed in the right area. Let's go back here, everything right here, guys. No, let's go forward a little bit more. Is this where rook b8 is here? So maybe not here, but very close here. We'll say when the knight's on c4 here. When the knight's on c4, guys, when you check this out, all the pieces are optimally placed. This is what you should try to focus to do. You can get a lot of this through the classical games, but rook a to b8's coming, and the knight's on c4. The bishop is open. Like, you have everything that you need here. Everything looks really good, even at the fact that I'm down a pawn and I have double pawns here. So you have to believe in the piece activity and what's going on and ask yourself what kind of conversation you actually have. So that was today's video, guys. This was world champion number 3, the third world champion, José Raúl Capablanca. I'm National Master James Canty III, aka GM Canty, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video.